We are live. The Fight Bananas post-fight show is back to you in 2025. I'm Jonathan Ramlakan. We got Blake Schneiders hitting them Rod Tang elbows here. How you doing, my man?
I'm beautiful, brother. I'm beautiful. And you know what? It's been a long holiday season, but guess what? Your beard has grown out. Your hair looks like it's blacker than before, and I don't even know how that's possible. But it's awesome to see you. I'm with the most beautiful co-host in the game, Jonathan Ramalakan, and guess what? We're back here with the 2025 season of UFC, and we cannot be more excited.
Absolutely, man. And before we get into too much of the main card, I just want to talk about how exciting it is to have fights in front of us again because it was sorely missed. 2024 ended really great, really good pay-per-view, and then to follow it up a really good fight night as well. And 2025, couple of the first early fights weren't as super exciting, but they did get the ball rolling with them. Some of those prelims were really good as well, and then the main card had some really exciting knockouts. We were talking about those, and it was just exciting to have fights back in front of us. And it's always weird when you have a Saturday with no UFC because that's usually what you're used to doing, at least myself, on a Saturday. That's what you do, UFC, and you kind of go. And then we got Sean Sterling. It has been a while. Appreciate you for being back, my man. As always, the first guy back in the comments. Who else could it
Of
be?
course.
The main man, Sean Sterling. But yeah, let's get out into that, man. How excited are you to have fights back, man?
I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that I was missing in my life, it was sweaty men and women causing violence against their opponents in my life. There's something about the testosterone that it gives me on Saturdays. I was just missing. I had to revert. I was watching the World Championship of Bowling. I'll tell you what, not as exciting. Not as exciting as the UFC or any of the mixed martial arts at all. So I'm excited to have the testosterone filled sweat, blood, and tears that comes with this game that really fuels me throughout the year. So I was super pumped to have it back, and it was definitely missed. I think it's weird. It's having not having fights on Saturday is like not watching football on Sunday to me. It just doesn't make sense, and it feels unright.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's the right, vibe on the Saturday. And there's only one person that makes bowling excited. Shout out the great or Pete Weber. Who do you think you are? I am. I'm not
I
sure if
am.
anybody's seen that call out, but he's worked out of my gym, so he lives local. So shout out to that guy.
Wait,
Um,
really?
yeah, I think I met him in the sauna one time. So a little a little weird story there. But
Okay.
Sean Sterling, we did have an incredible fight between Cesar Almeida and Al Hassan. We'll get into that one. I'm definitely super stoked for that win. I met Cesar personally when Shaman Marias was fighting at PFL. So I met Cesar and his coach back in Atlanta. Wonderful people, super chill vibe. Shaman as well. Shout out to Shaman Marias. And yeah, I'm super excited. I know Cesar's last fight didn't really get to actually make the walk out there, but he ate some shots from Al Hassan and ended it with a beautiful knockout. So we'll get into that. But let's just start off and touch off. We're not going to go too deep into all these fights. We have a really incredible main or two double main event championship fight next week when you have um, Islam Makhachev take on Arman Sarukian, and then you have Merab Dvalishvili taking on the undefeated Umar Magomedov. And that is going to be crazy. On top of that, Yuri Prohaska, Jamal Hill, Benil Darius versus Money Moicano, and then Kevin Holland as well. That is a stacked card. We got Johnny Walker. We got Peyton Talbot. If you don't know who Peyton Talbot is, don't sleep, guys. Don't sleep. So
Yeah.
we'll touch on that a little bit too because we have an exciting. But yeah, talk just some quick notes on the main event. Mackenzie Dern was able to get the win by armbar tonight in the third round. Blake, what did you see tonight?
I thought, to start the year off, obviously Dana's never going to come out and say, okay, this is UFC 3012 or 312 or 327. They're going to give you a little bit of appetizer before the game starts. So I thought it was a pretty solid appetizer, actually. I thought there was quite a few good names on the card that maybe a lot of people didn't know beforehand that they might be watching later as the season goes on because they're like, you know what, this person surprised me a little bit. Mackenzie Dern, obviously, everybody knows. Amanda Ribas, everybody knows. And they were the main headliner for tonight. I thought Mackenzie looked pretty solid on her feet in the first round. Usually, we obviously know her for her Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but her stand-up game was looking pretty solid, which is a great weapon to incorporate, I think, as any mixed martial artist grows. To see them evolve and not stay in one realm that has always done them very well, but to actually see a little evolvement, see them practicing and working some new things. I thought that is always not only refreshing, but it makes it exciting for any fighter that you've known who does one thing very well. Obviously, in the second round, Dern goes for the takedown. Ribas reverses it, but Dern's very active from the bottom. But Ribas is obviously taking round two. So it's 1-1 at that point, but then Dern ends up getting the submission. They go at each other in the third round. Dern ends up getting the Kimura in the third round. I always love seeing a Kimura because it's just on the precipice of, are you going to tap or is your arm going to break? I love seeing it. It's a very dangerous yet horrible move to be in yourself. Anybody who's done any mixed martial arts in the past, that's not a place you want to be. So the fact that she was able to get into that position just shows kind of her superiority on the ground, which is what we already talked about. So great showing by Mackenzie Dern.
Absolutely. And honestly, you perfectly described it. Like you said, you don't want, with the armbar she had, you never want to be in that position. I mean, we've seen guys like Tony Ferguson, and Charles Oliveira, his fight versus him, he actually stayed in that armbar for a good while. And I thought Tony's arm was done, but, he was able to fight through it. But for Ribas going up against someone who is a, 20-something time gold medal winning Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist in Mackenzie Dern, yeah, well, as soon as that armbar kind of came and got extended, and shout out to Ribas for fighting that, submission for about a good minute and a half when it really was in deep. But Mackenzie Dern, as soon as she got that arm extended, that was it, and she was able to get the finish there. So she's the one. She was able, to bring her 4-year-old daughter. When they last fought, she was only 4 months old. Shout out to Pokemon and the Eevee that she had, and her daughter that had as well. So that was cool. Shout out to Mackenzie Dern, like you said, great appetizer main event to get us started for the year. Now, with the co-main event, right? It was kind of exciting as well. So we had a solid name in Santiago Ponzinibbio. Obviously, he had a really good young part of his career. Injuries derailed him. He was out for a little bit wrong. And Sean's, like you said, the Eevee plush, can't go wrong with that one. Of course, I got my Pokemon blanket that's 20-something years old. But with the Ponzinibbio fight, you kind of feel for the guy a little bit because he lost the prime of his career due to injury. And then on the other side, you have Carlton Lindsay, who's, shout out to him. He's a fellow Guyanese. So unfortunately didn't get the win tonight, but had good showings against other fighters. Lost his O against Shavkat Rakhmonov. So pretty good fighter too. But back and forth fight. Lindsay was, doing good things early, but then Ponzinibbio got the win there and was able to get it done. But it was a pretty fun fight overall. I think it was a good back and forth. It was a great co-main event for what we had tonight. But I want to talk about some of these knockouts, man. I want you to talk about what you saw with not that one, Cesar Almeida, right? Because like I said, I'm going to show him a little bit of love too. But how nasty was that knockout?
Well, to be honest, John, I didn't see it. As far as this goes, I know that's not intriguing commentary, but there was a lot of fights. I was having a lot of problems with my streaming tonight, so I didn't get to see a lot of what I wanted to. Obviously, you and I are pretty religious when it comes to watching fights left and right. Tonight, I was having a bit of an issue, so commentary tonight from Blake's perspective might be a little lacking. I'll always bring the
Johan
energy.
put it right, man. Johan put it right. That's how nasty it was. It blinded Blake. I sent you the link, by the way,
Exactly.
for
Thanks,
that one
Johan.
too.
I appreciate you.
But yeah, the shot. I mean, I'm RIP to one of the best streaming websites that were out there, man. I mean, he said he's taking a break. I know me and Blake were hurting today with trying to catch that fight, but hey, Dana's doing his thing to them. But hey, the Pirates never die as when it comes to that. But yeah, Al Hassan was definitely I thought he was gonna be the next person stretchered out because man, he was actually doing pretty solid things. You know, he hurt Almeida early as well, and Almeida just perfect combination, beautiful left hook. Alex Pereira esque put him down, but that was another good fight, another beautiful knockout. Ponahela Soriano making his welterweight debut. Obviously, he's a pretty muscular guy, so he's gone down from 185 to 170 now. And in 30 seconds, he was able to get the knockout. Getting in, he says now he potentially wants to take some time off for his daughter, being that he's, his wife's due in June or something like that. So potentially wants to get one in or before or after with that side of things. But definitely some crazy knockouts tonight, right? That's what you love to see with the UFC being back, or just some of those knockouts as
It was
well.
a
But
it was a mean right. It was a mean right from Punahele, and he might be one of those UFC fighters that he has one of those names that I enjoy saying the most. Punahele Soriano. Like anytime you say it, it just sounds like good things are about to happen. Or that I'm casting some sort of weird witchcraft spellbinding thing. But either way, it's that it's it's that Hawaiian native in him that every time this guy fights, I want to watch it because he's always exciting. Whether he's getting the knockout, whether he's fighting, it does not matter. His striking is good. Just the name alone, just watching the walkout is fantastic for him. But yes, no, Punahele had a great right hand tonight that secured him the knockout.
absolutely. And Sean, like you said, man, the push-ups after, he didn't just do a couple, man. He dropped and did like 15 or 20 push-ups after the
He did the
fight. And
Navy SEAL push-ups. He
yeah,
was
he
he
that,
was
that man was
doing
going 100% down all the way. Johan just saw the Almeida KO. And like I said, I want to shout out to Cesar as well because, I met him once over at PFL Atlanta a couple of years back when he was cornering Shaman Marias. And just a wonderful guy, super nice guy. We talked mostly through Google Translate because he didn't know too much English. But that's one of the great things, too, is just all the people you get to meet through this sport. I mean, you think these fighters are just going to be some of the hardest dudes, and don't get me wrong, some of them are, right? You meet Mike Perry, that dude is, definitely hard nosed when you meet him, but you meet some,
blackest dude on the roster.
yeah, exactly, 100%, 100% African Mike Perry, but we got, but Almeida, man, just another one of those guys that you'd love to see win with that one. And go
Just
ahead.
so everybody knows, I have the links that you sent me for all these so I could comment on the fights. They've already been taken down. They
This
have
guy is
already.
crazy.
That's how fast the UFC is with copyright infringement. They
Oh
have already
no.
taken down the fights that the finishing moves that I was going to comment on, taking them down. Just saying.
UFC is fast, man. They take down the links quick. Yeah, I sent some highlights. Because like I said, we both had some connection issues with that. So we caught some of it with that, and man, yeah, those links go quick. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, main card, pretty solid. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I would probably give it a 7.3 out of 10. I feel like there were a bunch of good fights. Like I said, Puna Hellis started off right. Shout out to Christian Rodriguez as well. I wasn't sure if it was the right decision giving Bashi his first loss. Bashi was 13-0. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You got him.
But Christian Rodriguez able to get the win. He was defending the takedowns from Bashi. Bashi seemed to gas a little bit, going a little bit later into the fight, and yeah, he was able to outlast him. And like I said, I'm not sure with that one. I felt like Bashi did have a little bit more front position with some of it, but the damage definitely went on Christian's side. And with some of the prelims, because I see you guys showing some love with the prelims as well. We said, oh yeah, he flipped off the crowd during that. Jacoby Smith, which one was that one? Oh, against Preston Parsons. Yeah, that was nasty as well. He just dropped him like a light. Didn't even need a follow-up punch. I think he might have gave him two couple extra follow-up punches. But yeah, that was one where he literally just dropped him and didn't need anything extra. Who else did well? Like you said, Fatima, right? She did a really good job. Really weird part on her opponent's part, Victoria. I want your thoughts on this, Blake. After this girl loses the fight, she slaps her coach. And I understand, maybe you understand the frustration and you understand kind of, being upset, but you get finished. At the end of the day, maybe there could have been some different directions you could have gone or the ways you could have approached the fight. But what is your thoughts on a fighter just doing something like that to a coach after a fight?
That seems like it's been harbored up for a while, but it also could have been a spillover from two things. One, you didn't like the advice that you were getting during the entire fight. So that would obviously be the initial immediate jerk of the shoulder response. You weren't cornering me very well, and I didn't like it. Or this has been built up and pent up to where her coach set up a camp for her, and everything they studied was the wrong thing. And that might be more harbored and have built up like, hey, you might have been cornering me fine, but we didn't work on any of this during training camp.
Mhm.
So why the F did you train me for this fight the way you did? We worked on a lot of ground game and she didn't do any ground game. She worked on a lot of striking and we didn't do any striking. Like it could be a multitude of things, but to me, it almost lends more that was built up and that she didn't like the prep going into it. And maybe that emotion boiled over.
No, I agree. I think that's the more than likely that's where it comes from too. Because I've never seen a fighter slap their coach, or even get aggressive with their coach after a
No.
fight. I mean, maybe you get upset about the result, and you're not just receptive to any emotion, right? You just have your head down and you're upset, right? But to show that type of emotion, I just think that's a little disrespectful. If you want to handle something like that, you take that to the back, right? You do that when the
Oh
cameras
no,
aren't
I'm in total agreement with that. I think
you know
that is somebody that has blown their top on the tea kettle that doesn't know how to handle themselves in the limelight for sure. But it also shows the amount of frustration that they're under for who knows what reason. So it could be a double-sided sword there with frustration but yet you didn't handle yourself well. And also my team, maybe I feel they're so incompetent that
didn't
I
set
couldn't
me
hold
up
it back.
for success,
Yeah. So
you know? No, I definitely get that,
I
and,
hope we find out. I hope there's a little bit
yeah,
more
I think
digging
she
into
gets
this
cut,
story.
to be honest. She didn't show much, there anyways, so I think she gets cut by something like that. Because, like I said, I just don't think that type of disrespect is really,
It's
you
not
know it
tolerated usually
right, you know what I mean?
or
In the UFC,
professional.
just exactly, just professionally, right? Like, it's just not
Yeah.
something you do necessarily, you know what I mean? So, Tulio is legit also. Yeah, I definitely wanted to give him love. Potiera, took a nut shot and sat out for, like, 4 minutes from a nut shot, and don't get me wrong, nut shots hurt, right? We're all dudes. Me and Blake are both dudes here. Um, but he sat out a little bit extra, and then he got back to the fight. And as soon as he got back to the fight, he got knocked out. It was really an adjustment on Tulio's part, which Ihor was kind of like turning, caught him with a nice left hook that ended up dropping him, and then finished it from there. But that was an exciting one. And shout outs. One I want to talk about today. Felipe Bunes. I want to give him a shout out because he submitted a 6 foot flyweight. One on top of that, he devastated the camera and the entire Las Vegas by unleashing a Kamehameha at the end of it. So shout out to him. He did it beautifully. He's got the Goku on the arm. I definitely love that stuff as well. So shout out to him for getting that win. 6 foot at flyweight, man. I thought that was going to be a big problem, but he
Oh,
handled himself well for that one too. But next week, man, just like I said, we got some really exciting fights with 2 title fights, and we also have who was I saying as well? Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska, Money Moicano, Kevin Holland. What are you looking forward to next week, man?
I mean, man, there's a ton. I don't think there's. It's definitely not a fight that you want to miss. I mean, obviously, everybody's been talking about Arman Sarukian, and Islam Makhachev is the reigning champ right now. So that in itself is worth. I mean, even if they didn't put anybody else on the card, even if they didn't put anybody else in the prelims, that's a card you want to watch. Except then they were like, oh no, Mirab Davishvili and Umar Nurmagomedov. We're going to put them on. Oh, we're also going to put on Jamal Hill, who everybody's been bitching about, calling him a crybaby, calling him an excuse maker. I don't give a damn what you think. Jamal Hill will come to brawl, and Jerry Prohaska, who just lost to, who previously lost to Alex Bejeda, he's going to be somebody that these two are two former losers, quote unquote, two former losers to Pereira. So are these two not the ones you want to see fight?
It's a perfect matchup.
If Alex is the come all be all, then these two are the ones you want to see fight. Benel Darnouche, he's going to be a guy that I personally love Moicano, but this is going to be a big test for him on somebody who's great on the ground and great on the feet, and he's a veteran of the game. So it's going to be one of those things where you're like, I love the up-and-comer, but the veteran I also like. So is he going to school him, or is he going to be shown to be past his prime to the up-and-comer, the new shining star, the new LeBron James, whatever you want to call it? Doesn't matter. This is going to be a passing of the torch possibly in this matchup. Kevin Holland, I always just love watching Kevin Holland fight, not only for his shit talking, but just because he always makes the match interesting. So you can't not watch that. I actually am not like crazy excited about the Johnny Walker fight because Johnny doesn't have a great track record with his chin. He gets knocked out.
Pause real quick, bro. He's 35. I know he looks old as shit, but he's only 35.
Does look
I
old.
just looked that up. But continue, bro. Johnny Walker is the most comedically knocked out fighter in the UFC outside of James Vick.
Johnny Walker gets knocked out like Tom catches Jerry. Like it's ridiculous what happens.
Yeah, it's Looney Tune
for sure. The Jalton Almeida fight will be very good. I'm excited for that. So I mean, the whole Grant. Oh, what are we even talking about? Our boy Grant Dawson, friend of
the show. Grant Dawson is fighting.
To fight Bananas.
And then on top of that, dude, I just noticed SD Dumas is fighting, friend of the show.
What are you even talking about up here? The man who owns a dump truck himself, Grant Dawson.
The man who owns a dump truck.
Love you, Grant. Love you, L. But yeah, no, the whole card is going to be phenomenal. Honestly, that main card for sure, you can't miss that. That's going to be a great firework for 2025 season.
Man, this whole card is stacked. You have Tagir Ulanbekov starting off the card. You have Nakamura fighting there. Like you said, Grant is finishing the early prelims with him. Tough test. Diego Ferreira is no slouch. You know, Diego is definitely a great fighter. Expect Grant for some really great top game, though, you know, to be able to get him down, finish with some ground and pound. That's what I'm looking to see out of that one. I think SD Dumas gets the win, too. I'm not sure if you did it or if it was just me and him, but we did a post-fight show together one time. So, like I said, I'm not sure if you were there for that one as well. So, you know, hopefully he gets the win, too. Peyton Talbot, bro. I'm not sure if you remember him.
Yeah, Talbot's going to be a good fight.
That boy is young and he's coming for blood. And, you know, he is, you know.
He leaves it all. He leaves it all on the table. That's for sure.
Yeah. He has that Sean O'Malley archetype. He's a lifelong mixed martial artist. His striking is beautiful. Next week is going to be amazing, bro. I'm super excited. Final thoughts before we close off here tonight, buddy.
Final thoughts, man. I'm just glad to be back. It's 2025. We got a new year. It's been almost a month without UFC or not mixed martial arts, but without the UFC in general. And I'm just excited to see what craziness is about to unfold in 2025, because I'll tell you what, 2024 was awesome, and it'll probably go down in history as one of the craziest years just in general, but I feel like 2025 can top it. We got the topic of John Jones. Is he going to fight Pereira? Is he not? Is Pereira going to go up? Are a lot of the guys that we grew up watching going to retire? Are there going to be shifting of the torches? There's so many different things. Is Dominic Cruz is going to get his last fight of ever, and he's been in the game 20 years. So I think it's going to be a lot of bittersweet memories that we make, but I think there's going to be also a lot of chaos. I really hope they up the shit talking game from 2024 to 2025. I like, you know, Conor McGregor is not in his prime anymore, but man, he made it fun when guys were talking shit. I want to see some mental jousting going into 2025. A little bit more, something to give me a little bit more edge when I'm watching these fights. But overall, I'm just excited for everything.
Absolutely. You want to be able to sell your fights, right? And don't get me
Exactly.
wrong, for me,
Sell
you,
tickets, baby.
Deshaun, Johan, right? We're gonna watch the fights regardless because we know how good of a fight Arman Tsarukyan versus Islam Makhachev is gonna be, right? We already know that. But for the casual viewer, right, you need a little bit more there, right? You need that WWE-esque storyline, that wrestling storyline to bring the general audience to it, right? Now, if you or
To
just
see
someone
Khabib come out of retirement.
exactly and hit Armand with the steel chair in the back. That's exactly what we need in the UFC is general managers distracting the referees. I need when Armand is about to submit Islam, I need Habib to hop on the fence. I need him to distract the referee. I need in the meantime another one of Habib's Russian dudes hop inside, grab Armand, hit him with a steel chair, grab the ladder, grab the money in the bank. New
And
champion.
then
Let's
out of
go.
nowhere, John Cena and Brock Lesnar, boom! But nobody knows that it's John Cena because they can't see him,
They
baby.
can't see him. And that's it. You can't see us. And this is it for the Fight Bananas post-fight show. We'll take you guys after the next fight. We got a crazy one next week. Don't miss it. We'll catch you guys after the next one.